Episode 25, Road to Superbowl. We are entering the fourth quarter of our podcast. Only 8 episodes with this one left to go. And today we are here with Tampa Bay Buccaneers. So, for everyone who is new to this or who just want to refresh what this series is all about, we take a look at every single individual team in the NFL, and we try to give you the insight, what's going on with the team, how did they do in 2023, what they have done in free agency for this season, what's their outlook for this season and season up to 2026. We are trying to do 3-year time span of their window. Are they contenders, pretenders? Will they win a Super Bowl? Will they not? Will they at least do something interesting, or are they doomed? That's pretty much it. What is more towards the show, we are trying to take a look at salary cap situations, really put you behind the eyes of general managers, because in the era of a cap space, managing the cap space is an essential stuff that every single GM needs to do in order to give his coaching staff, his team, the best chance to win. So here you just won't find out if player is just good, bad, great, amazing, and whatever. We'll also put it into perspective, like what kind of a contract is he on? Can we get rid of him? Is he worth the money? Or on the other hand, is he a great value for money? How his rookie deal is incorporated in our Super Bowl window or other stuff. So that's where this it's like the plus content towards other show that maybe just to show you if guys how would they rank him. Nothing against anyone else, but this is just how I try to introduce you to the world of football, not only from the perspective of a fan or a coach, but also from the perspective of the general managers. Because if that wasn't mentioned, if there is one job that I would probably leave my current job for, it's being a general manager in the NFL. I really love the numbers. I love the psychology effect that you have to have. I love trading. So when you mix all this together, it seems like general manager is such a special job. So I won't become an NFL GM in the near future, and probably ever. So this is my chance to play as one, and with that, show you my passion for American football, help you through the offseason, and perhaps introduce you some of the players you may not know, some of the interesting opinions, hopefully, and overall just put you into the world of NFL even more than you hopefully are. So, how do we do? What's the order here? So we do it by starting with looking at what this team did last season. Then we take a look at the free agency for this season. If it needs a specific topic, sometimes it just will be incorporated into rundown, which is the next part, where we take a look at specific parts of the team. In weaponry, we talk about quarterbacks, running backs, tight ends, and wide receivers. Offensive line is self-explanatory. We just talk about linemen. In defensive line, it's not self-explanatory because we include linebackers into this group. Secondary contained of obviously cornerbacks and safeties, and with coaches we also take a look at special teamers, specifically kickers and punters. For each team there is some specific topic that is not necessarily out there for the other team, so it's something very specific to this team. It can be incorporated in the rundown, in the revision of 2023, or in the free agency, or it can be discussed as a separate topic. In the end, we will talk a bit about the draft, what I would do if I were drafting for the Tampa Bay Bucks, or in other episodes for other teams, what the strategy would be, and perhaps what players would I draft. So when talking about the topics for Tampa, it's another one, Mike, question mark. It just shows you Mike Evans is he heading for another 1,000-yard season? The next topic is division. I just could not resist the picture of a cat that definitely smells weakness, because let's face it, this is the worst division in football, and it was, and it's most likely going to stay that way, though maybe there is a room to grow. And the last topic is the QB for the Tampa Baker Moneymaker, where we will talk about his contract, how he earned it, What does it mean for him? What does it mean for the Bucs? Is it money well spent, or did they overpay him, or perhaps did they get great value? We'll talk about that. But we will start with 2023 season. And when reviewing 2023, there is 3 teams that outplayed their expectation quite heavily. It's LA Rams, it's Green Bay Packers, and it's Houston Texans. But in hindsight, I have to add the 4th team, and that 4th team is Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Why they are not like included in that 3, I don't want to say it threesome because it indicates some other things, but okay, why they were not originally included in that 3 is their way of surprising or outplaying was not as spectacular in a way. Like, they more took a nice chance of the opportunity that arrived within the weakness of their own division, and then with collapse of the Eagles in terms of how they performed like last 2 months of the season, which I do not remember any great team falling off like this without injuries. Like, this was, to me at least, unprecedented. I watched football only 11 years, so maybe my memory is not as good as it should be, or as some of you is, but to me this was probably the biggest fall off, talking about the Eagles. So they took advantage of this, but they took it. It's not like, they didn't have to do anything to earn it. Like, they earned it. And when opportunity presented themselves, they took it. So I don't want to be negative towards Bucs, but what separates them from Rams, from Packers, from the Texans, from Packers and Texans, the clear thing is they have possibly their QB of the future with Jordan Love, with CJ Stroud, 2 guys essentially in their rookie season. For CJ, obviously, this was his rookie season. For Jordan Love, this was his 4th year, but first one that he was actually about to start. So essentially a rookie in a way. And with both of these guys, I think like the prediction is they can reach the elite level, or at least an amazing level. And it's not something they've entered, maybe like as a potential, it was always there, but definitely they entered last year as like decent starters at best. Nobody expected, or not expected, like nobody would say that what we think of them right now is what we thought of them before the season started in terms of their current ability. They definitely like hugely outperform what the current ability of them were. Not their potential, they perhaps played to it, but in terms of what they were, in terms of like what we would expect them to perform week 1, they totally outplayed that. And with the Rams, the part, like, they don't have a young, exciting QB. Like, Matthew Stafford is kind of old, but first of all, he had one of his best seasons in his career, and second of all, they had a bunch of rookies, like really thrown like 23 rookies essentially into 53-man roster, or like the second year. So really super young group. They just give them a chance, and there was so many players that just outperformed the hell out of their expectations. We talk about Puka Nacua, Kyren Williams, Kobe Turner especially. And when you add this to the special trio of Matthew Stafford, Cooper Kupp, and obviously Aaron Donald, you see, like, unless, in a case of Aaron Donald not retiring, I feel like for Rams, there would be a huge expectation for the season. What pushes Tampa away from these teams, at least in my view, is like, I don't think anybody expects Tampa to, like, nobody has them top 8 in terms of their power ranking right now, despite them finishing top 8 last year, I don't think there is a single person in the world. I feel like Vegas have them, it's gonna be about 20th in terms of their chance to win a Super Bowl this season. Let me check that one out. So yeah, it's about 2021, somewhere in the area of Colts and teams like that. So despite, reaching that top 8, nobody has them that high. You know, when you talk Texans, when you talk Packers, they are like bottom of top 10. In terms of Rams, they are like in the middle, around 15th place. And that's with Aaron Donald retirement. So I feel like they would be up there with the Texans, with the Packers, fighting for that top 10 spot, because the future would look super bright for these teams, for Texans and Packers, because they found out their QB of the future, most likely, and for the Rams, because they would look really incredible with Aaron Donald still on the roster. So that's a bit of negative towards Tampa. So how did they actually finish up top 8, right? Well, first of all, they took advantage of their really shitty division. Like I cannot put it any nicer than that. Second of all, they got a bit lucky with the Eagles fall off, but the fall off was from such high that the place that they fell to was to play the worst winner of the division, which was Tampa at the moment. I feel like if Tampa played Rams or the Packers in the first round, I don't feel like they would move from them. Okay, enough negativity for Tampa, because at the end of the day, as a Tampa Bay Buccaneers fan, like, you have to be super excited about what this team did last year. Because, well, you took your chances, right? You won the division. You beat Eagles. You actually did not look out of order in a way against Lions. It was, they actually earned more yardage than the Lions. It was 2 Baker's interception that eventually like swing the ball, swing the results towards Lions. Like, Lions were a better team in that game, like, don't get me wrong, but it's not like Tampa did not look like they had a shot, you know? Like, they did not look like Cowboys against Packers, for example, or like even Eagles against Tampa. So huge credit to them. In the process, their 2 wide receivers, you know, continue to be one of the better duos, or like definitely top 7 duo of wide receivers in the league. They gave a chance to Baker Mayfield, and he took it. Like, I will put a lot of breaks on anyone who is gonna say like Baker is the next guy, he is their QB of the future. I don't think so. But what he is he is Geno Smith. He is a guy that was given some chances around the league. None of them really worked super efficiently, but he kept fighting. And here he found his spot. He played very well. He showed that he is definitely a starting NFL QB. And in the process, earned himself a nice extension. I would say that to both Tampa and Baker, this deal, it's like 3 years, 100 million, something like that. I just want to be precise in this. Yeah, it's 3 years, 100 million. I was correct. In the process, he earned some very nice contract that I think he fully deserves for what he put like an effort-wise into football, because I feel like his first couple of years were, I don't think he did give 100% to football. Like, he was a lot about commercials, a lot about building brand. And then eventually when his time in Cleveland ended and they didn't prolong his contract there, they didn't have him like the first real contract after a rookie deal. To him, it became clear like, okay, I have a talent. I will be given a chance, but I need to work really, really hard. And I think he did that. So in my eyes, like, kudos to him to really realize that, you know, I still have the talent. I still have good perception around the league, because I did not suck with the Browns. They moved from me because of possibly injuries and because I wanted, I would say, too much money. But I still can have very nice NFL career. And he dig down. He was given a chance from Rams last year. Like in 2022, he took it. He earned himself a chance with the Bucs for this year or for 2023, and he definitely played a part. Like, was he top half QB in the league? No. I feel like he was top 20-ish. And I feel like that's where I would rank him right now. he is a guy that I have no problem giving around 30 million a year. I feel like 35, 40, that's the area that I would not pay him, but 30, 33 is kind of okay for both sides. And he's still only 29. There's a reason why he was drafted number 1. So do I say that he is peaked? Can he become better? I feel like he definitely can, but he needs to keep working. And I kind of trust that he is going to. So I like this contract for what it is for both sides. They definitely smell that this division, despite Atlanta signing Kirk Cousins, is still one of the worst in the league, if not the worst. You know, I like what Carolina did. I don't like much what Saints did, but that's kind of my bias against Saints and how they deal with finances there. And I kind of like what the Falcons did, but does it mean that Bucs with Baker cannot win division like 2 out of 3 times in the next 3 years? Hell no. I think they can, definitely. Specifically when you talk about Falcons, like I'm not sure that they count with Cousins on 2026. Like we talk about how this deal is constructed, that they have a way out for 26 and 27. In that process, Carolina would be either very happy with Bryce Young or moving off from Bryce Young for 2026. So you definitely don't have a certainty that they won't be starting like a new QB that year because, you know, Bryce just didn't work out. And for Saints, like they will be starting 2026 in like 120 million in that cap hit without anyone signed. So yeah, you see where I'm heading with Saints. It's like my never-ending criticism of pushing money down the line when you are just not winning Super Bowl, you know, unless really anything absolutely crazy happens. Like you have 1% chance. Congratulations. You are screwing your future even more than it is right now. Okay. So, but let's come back to 2023, right? Overall, like you found out that Baker is quite a nice starting QB. Like good starter, nothing special. Probably is like somewhere close to his peak. You hope his health will hold on because there was some of the issues with Cleveland why they did not extend him was his health. And he kind of did not look great, like coming back from the injury, like with Carolina. But overall, he looked like his kind of former old self. And in that process, you've managed to have a nice season despite losing Ryan Jensen to like his career-ending injury. You found out some interesting young players in Elijah Kensi, Luke Gedicke, Yaya Diaby. Those guys definitely took a step up, and it's not, and kind of what slightly changes the perspective on specifically Kensi and Diaby is they showed up for the playoffs. Like I feel like if we talk about Kensi as his regular season, I really don't think he was that good. Like he was getting better as the year was ending, but man, I just like okay, defensive tackle, first year in the football, like in the NFL, it's a really hard job, but he was several times he was a problem for the defense next to Vitava, which like it's hard because you have such a good player next to. But what he did in the playoffs, especially when you are facing the best and the second best O-line with Eagles and with Lions, it really feels like Elijah Kensi is ready to step big time for the 2024. So overall, like you had your Super Bowl with Tom Brady, you used nicely that window, and in a year or in years where you were not supposed to do anything like great, you were kind of trying to rebuild, trying to find perhaps some new pieces for the future, you actually ended up in the division round and fighting Lions. Not necessarily like tooth and nails, but at least tooth, you know. Like it was interesting game from you. So for 2023, I don't think like anything went much better for the Bucs, like bearing Ryan Jensen health situation. So that obviously is a huge loss for this franchise and for him as a player. Like I really liked him, so I have like an emotional investment in this one. it's just sad to see anyone retire from the health reason. I hate to see that, but it was the only possible outcome for Ryan. So that was your 2023 season. With free agency, they mostly brought players back, which I am an advocate for. I was not expecting them to be able to bring Mike Evans back. I thought that he would go to a team that is a contender, because I really don't see Bucks as a contender for this year. Like, I feel like the top 8 is kind of their ceiling. You know, I can see them winning division. I can see them winning a home game in the playoffs, but I think like that's it. I don't think there is like a super huge upside for them. And you know, they re-signed Mike Evans, they re-signed Baker Mayfield. We already talked about the contract. I like the details of that contract. The same with Mike. They re-signed Levante David, 1 year, $8.5 million. Really nice type of deal. And like the biggest move, in a way, they've done in the offseason was not extending Antoine Winfield only to franchise tag him. So it's not like they let him go, but he is going to be playing under franchise tag. And it's kind of a weird situation for, I think, both Tampa and Winfield, because at this point of time, he is top 2 or top 3 safety in the league. Like, I have no doubts. I would say top 2 with Jesse Bates. Someone probably would put like Minkah Fitzpatrick into the conversation. Okay. But to me, it's Jesse Bates and it's Antoine Winfield. But at the same time, we are talking about the offseason in which, like, pretty much almost every team are kind of releasing their big names safeties. So I feel like if Tampa wanted to resign him, this would be an ideal time for them, because they could point out, well, Justin Simmons doesn't have a job. Jamal Adams, Quandre Diggs, you know. Kevin Byard signed for like 2 years, 13 millions, 15 millions, and everybody screams overpay for some reason, you know. So, yeah, we want to sign you. We want to sign you based on the market that is out there. So that would be like, 5 years, 70 million, 75. And I would say, like, for Antoine, I mean, screw that, right? That really is underpaying. I want at least 20 million because I am the best safety, or one of the best safeties in the league. I deserve to be paid top bucks. And I feel like maybe the discrepancies were just way too much, that it ended up like, okay, you are going to play under franchise tag, and we will talk about this next off season. I'm not sure, but I do understand like the point of Antoine. He does want to get paid. At the same time, the market for safeties is really, really poor. So, yeah, that's where we are for the safeties. So definitely, situation to monitor. It might be that they will figure it out in terms of this off season eventually, but it's not a certain thing. Also, like Antoine Winfield becoming the best safety, or one of the best safety in the league, just that's definitely a part of exceptional 2023 season for the Bucks. Like, dude was like head and shoulders above the competition, you know, to anyone but Jesse Bates. I don't think it was close about like top 2 best safeties last year. Like, you may disagree if these guys are there, you know, for seasons to come. You know, there's Jevon Holland, there's Xavier McKinney, there's guys like Kyle Hamilton, there's obviously Minkah Fitzpatrick. But yeah, to me, these 2 guys were just head and shoulders above anyone else last year as safeties. And they are still young. Like, Winfield is only 25. He's going to enter the season as 26-year-old, and Jesse Bates as 28-year-old. So there's quite a lot of nice starting safeties within like under 28 even. So that's all for the free agency part. That's all for the 2023 season. And let's just start the rundown for the Tampa Bay Bucks. For anyone who is new to this, what the rundown is, I've already told you how we specify the groups, but we also try to show you the players that are here. What we are showing are the guys that were like an impact player, or at least reserve player for 2023, or will be impact player for 2024. We try to do like 30 guys per team. It's not going to be 50, it's not going to be 100. There's definitely going to be guys that slipped under my radar. So, if that's the case, let me know down in the comments who slipped, why, and why you believe he should be on a player card. And, we will see in the end of the season who was right in a way. I do not mind being wrong, definitely, if it means that someone very exciting was having an exceptional season. Like, for example, if we talked last year about Rams, I would have not Bukayo Nakua on the card. Like, I would not. Okay, maybe I would because of how he looks, because he has really cool look. But yeah, probably not, right? So let's go. Now it's time to, if you want to meet these guys, sort of face to face, now it's time to check your screens because we are getting started. So Kyle Trask, Baker Mayfield, Rashid White, Chris Goodwin, Russell Gage, Mike Evans, Trey Palmer, Kate Otton, Payne Durham, Chase Edmonds, and Ko Kieft. Here we were before the offseason started in terms of free agency and the cap hits. As you can see, both Baker and Mike Evans were not under contract, but they brought them back, as I told you. Just to explain this table, what you are watching here is their cap hits for a season. So for 2024, Baker only has 6.9 cap hit. And if you ask how is that possible? You told us it's 3 years, 100 millions. Well, there's two things that exist in the NFL. First, you can restructure contracts, so you kind of move those cap hits into that field. That's why you see in 2026 his cap hit is actually close to 46 millions. So it's not 43, what's his average. And you can also add void years. What void years means? It's essentially you are paying against the cap hit for a player that's no longer on your roster. So for 2027, his cap hit will be 11.5 million, even though he's not going to be playing for the Bucks. It's not like for 2028, it's going to be another 5.7. It's just written like this because you can see they could separate that 11.5 into 2 seasons. So they could have 2027 5.7 as well as 28, or they could just eat it all up in 2027. If before the red numbers there is no blue numbers, it means the player has been cut or he is no longer on the roster, and you are actually watching his dead cap hit in terms of he probably had money pushed down the line, or he's been cut and there still needs to be some form of payment against the cap hit for this player. So as you can see, they kind of have done this in similar fashion for Mike Evans, for Baker Mayfield. And if you ask me why they trying to do this, trying to push money down the line, it's because they had almost 50 million in dead cap hit. What does that cap hit mean? Again, it's for the players that are no longer on the roster, but because you have added void years or because you have cut them or traded them and they were still under some sort of contract with you, there is some portion of that contract based on how it was structured that you still are paying despite them not being here, you are paying against the cap hit. So for example, it's 14 millions for Carlton Davis that this team traded to the Lions. Still 12 millions for Mike Evans for some sins from the past that you have made. Close to 7 million for Ryan Gage and about 5 or 6 million for Ryan Jensen, who had to retire. There are some other small numbers that actually rounds up to about 40 millions. That obviously is a very substantial factor because we talk about 1/6 of the entire cap hit being spent on the players that are no longer here, or not in case of Mike Evans, he is still here, right? But this is not 12 million that you took out of this contract and not paying this year. It is what his previous contracts were, just added some void years into the future that you are now paying, not necessarily to Mike Evans, but you have to count them against the cap hit for the team. So having this thing under control is definitely one of the biggest job for general managers. And less that cap hit you have, probably the more money you can spend on the roster. So it's really a simple equation. it's not like I advocate never to have any dead cap hit or ever adding avoid years. I think it's a nice way to optimize your window, specifically for the Bucs. It was the case when Tom Brady came in. It's like you have this amazing opportunity, you got GOAT for nothing, so he wants to win. Let's just make sure that we can bring as many good players next to him, perhaps sacrificing some of our future because we got a great chance to win Super Bowl. When I am criticizing of it, it's when you are doing this and you have pretty much zero chance to win it. Hello Saints, I'm sorry to mention you again, but you are just the prime example of really kind of going crazy into void years and etc. So let's now talk about the quality that you have in this room or in this group. So Baker Mayfield, like I said, I would say that he is gonna be around 20th best QB entering the league. I would say he more likely is going to go downwards because some of the rookies or some of the second year players are probably going to go up, as Caleb Williams, Byron Young, Drake May, Jaden Daniels. These guys, maybe beside Caleb, Caleb could go as high as a good starter, but probably will start as just a decent starter because it's just really hard to translate even excellent skills from college to pros. They will probably start behind Baker. Like I said, with Caleb, it's probably going to be on very close. But there is an expectation that they will eventually get better and probably outplay Baker. But if, the 25th best QB in the league is good starter, which, it can happen. It doesn't have to be like Baker is trending downwards and that's why these guys are ahead of him. They are just have this tremendous potential that he does not necessarily have. If that's the case for NFL, they are in a really good... The league is in a really good spot if Baker Mayfield is borderline starting QB based on what he did last year. That would be really good news for the NFL because it would mean there's so many good QBs around. But yeah, do I see him ever being top 10 quarterback in the league, reaching that potential, being the reason that Tampa Bay wins Super Bowl? No, you are not paying for that level of guy. You are paying for a guy that's going to win you some games, that's going to be having nice floor, and you don't feel like he is necessarily your guy for the future, but for next 3 years in which your division still could be a bit of a mess, he gives you very nice chance, very nice floor to win the division. Maybe he can improve, probably not, but still good player for good money. No issue there. Kyle Trask as a backup, you kind of just hope that Baker stays healthy at this point. I don't have much trust in Kyle Trask. With running backs, you have two guys on rookie deals. Both of them are quite good. Rashid White actually had the most touches for running back, not named CMC, so he was really getting a lot of balls. Though he was kind of putrid as a runner of the ball. He had 3.5 yards a carry, which is kind of atrocious. It's really not good. So he's quite good in terms of his catching ability and, being kind of, let's say, third wide receiver. But as a pure runner of the ball, I feel like there is a potential to draft a guy. And perhaps Rashid White will just be a third down specialist and, someone to make some cool stuff happen. But if he's the runner if he has 300 touches again as a runner and he goes again for under 4 yards a carry, I think you are doing something really wrong when you are Tampa Bay Bucks, because it's just not going to cut it in the league when there is so many good running back rooms. So yeah, something to watch. Chase Edmonds, decent starter, has a really high chance to just fade out of the roster if they hit on a running back that I feel like they will draft. But let's talk about this receiving room. Mike Evans, Chris Godwin. I don't think either of them is elite, though Mike Evans is actually kind of close. He had really good season. Chris Godwin, just a steady presence. I would say tier 3 of wide receiver, which still means he's a very good player. And yeah, you don't worry about these two guys. You kind of worry about the depth behind them, because Trey Palmer, like, he showed some things last year, but there's a reason why he went late in the draft. Like, as your number 4 guy, okay-ish. But as your number 3, I am not convinced. And it's not like your tight ends actually saved the situation. K. Dotton is a decent player, definitely room to improve. But I'm not impressed by either O'Keefe or Payne Durham. So, yeah. Overall, like, if you consider Rashid White as your kind of quasi third wide receiver, then okay, that kind of makes more sense. But it still says a lot that you should be bringing a running back to this room with the draft. And overall, I cannot rank this group that high. Like, the most important position is just good, nothing special. You have very nice wide receivers, but they are not like elite, and the rest is kind of meh. So this group is like C- in my opinion. Like, I don't feel like it's a hate against them. Like, it's still a serviceable group, but do I expect this group to win Tampa game? No, I just don't. So maybe they will prove me wrong, but as it right now, I have to stand behind C- for this group. So now it's time to meet the offensive line. So again, put your eyes back to the screen if you want to meet these guys. So Tristan Wirfs, Ryan Jensen, who we are saying farewell. Like, I hope that your health will be better, for at least you can have like a normal post NFL life. I am not like super worried. He earned some money, so it's not like I believe he won't have a nice life. I just hope he's gonna stay or get healthy at least for his like regular life. Cody Mack, I mean, he looks like NHL fighter, missing teeth, crazy long hair, ginger. Like, yeah, he looks like a crazy guy that you kind of want, and not like crazy in a bad way, like, he looks like a cool, fun dude that's gonna be a bit of dick on the field in terms of he will try to run you over with his strength, but yeah, we will get to him later. But it's like it's really like his looks tells a lot about how he conducts himself, or what do you expect out of him on the field, and you did not necessarily get that last year. Then you have Matt Feiler, Robert Hainsey, and Luke Goedeke, which kind of says there's not much depth. Without Ryan Jensen, as you can see here, you still have some dead cap hit that will count for him despite retiring. So let's talk about this O-line. The great thing is you have, like, let's play it safe, top 7 tackles duo in the league in Luke Goedeke and Tristan Wirfs. Tristan Wirfs handled being moved from right tackle to left tackle with coolness and quality that you just expect out of him. He's really a special player. Like, what is there to say? I feel like he's an elite guy. The fact that he, in a year switched from right to left and was exceptional there, I think that kind of says it a lot. Elite guy. Luke Goedeke, his second year in the league was, yeah, like, you could not have asked for more in terms of development. Like, from what he was year 1 to what he was last year, that was tremendous upside. Like, he just went from a guy that you are worried about his future to a player that you are definitely happy to have as a starter. He played like, top 10 right tackle in the league. The arrow is definitely still pointing up. It was just his second year, but like, the comparison from year 1 to year 2, that leap was one of the biggest that we could have seen. So definitely a year that, again, if you are a Bucs fan, you have to be ecstatic at what you get in Luke Goedeke. Okay, but that's end of good news for this O-line, because inside, man, you have a problem. Cody Mack was playing a guard. He was atrocious. Like, man, oh man, that was not good. Like, he was one of the worst guards in the league. It's like, and it's not even like really being negative against him. Like, he was like, he played every game, and he was problem in like half of them, like real problem. And you hope he will develop. But like, first of all, he's already 25, so he was supposed to have much higher floor than perhaps some other guys from the draft, because he played several years at college, and he is not the strongest guy. And there was really something missing. And like, with Kiriki, I feel like the expectation that he would improve were, I would say, more rational than they are now for Cody Mack. I feel like Kiriki at least showed some flashes, while with Cody, I just have not seen that. So it could be that, first year in the league, playing next to Robin Heinze and Gericke, just, trying to learn that position. He kind of slided in as a guard. But man, oh man, that was ugly. So I do expect him to be starting right guard next season. At this point, good backup is even rich for him. I feel like he did not play even a good backup last year. But they will try to make this work, because they've invested quite heavily into him, like a second round pick last year. But will I be surprised if we kind of see him play for 6 games and then pretty much don't see him at all? No, because it was ugly. It was really ugly, and I think if it continues, his career could end quite quickly, like in terms of, at least with Tampa. And it's not like it gets better with Robert Heinze and Ben Brereton. Like, Heinze needed to step up, for injured. Ryan Jensen is definitely not like a guy that you've like super expected to be your starter, because you counted that Ryan Jensen can come back from the injury and can be your starting center. So the good thing about Heinze is he played all the games, but his year 3 was by a huge amount his worst year in the league. Like, bearing in mind, like, it was the first year he played like a shit ton of snaps, but he was bad. Is it fair to just blame it on him when you have Cody Mack next to? Yeah, no, I would not say, but still, you cannot just not see it. And with Brent Bergerson, like, it does not get better. Like, he might be like the best out of this bunch, or probably not. Like, it's really, really hard to find a good player in the inside. They brought him back for 1 year. 1 year, $3 million, kind of prove it to us that you can play type of deal. No, not back. Like, they brought him from Giants. I'm sorry, misspoke there. It's like, he was really bad last year with the Giants. Like, what is there to say? Like, this is truly horrible inside of an offensive line. You hope that with Heinze, Mark, and Bergerson, they are all like 25, 26, that, maybe there is some potential still to go up, but this can definitely kind of when you will try to make an excuse for Rashid White as like runner of the ball, when you look at what he has to run through in terms of his own line, you can give him some slack. And I would be stunned if this is not something Tampa tries to address in the draft. Like, I would be super shocked, because this is a problem. Like, this grading for these guys, it's seriously on the verge of just being solid backups. Like, it's really not close to decent starters. Like, neither one of them is close to that. So they can develop. They are still like not proven veterans that just proven that they have hit their ceilings. But this is ugly group. So it's kind of tale of two stories. With tackles, you are gonna be like top 7, at least top 10 in the league. But I think like top 7 is much more reasonable, and it could get even better. Like, I feel like both Gedeke and Wirfs are actually going to could even improve from what they are right now. So I would not be surprised if they end up like top 3 tackle duo in the league. And in terms of inside, like this is like, I would say for sure, as of right now, bottom 3 inside O-line that we have seen. Like, it's bad. It's really bad. It's a problem, and it needs to get figured out, whether it's with draft or with coaching. But this is a bad group. So it's hard to rank this. I'm gonna to give it like C-, because when you just would take average of what I give to these players, you would argue that maybe it's C+ group, or at least C. But I feel like that needs to be an additional like negative point or negative rank towards this group, because there is a clear weakness that is not just one player or just two players, but it's this whole trio in the middle that is just a problem. Like, I mean, even if they, if you took D-line with Kalajdzic, Kensi, and Vitavea against these 3, they would have struggled tremendously. Like, that's a good thing that you can practice against these 2 guys, and hopefully you can improve there. But as it stands right now, like, I'm worried sick about this group. So that's, to me, is Tampa Bay Bucs offense. There are a couple of really, really good players. There is still some potential, but I would be stunned if, as a group, it ends up more than like a C group for like the whole season. I would be more stunned if it's better than C than I would be stunned if it's like D or worse, because I really feel like it can get ugly for this offense. The good thing is your division is not the best, but given that Atlanta will probably invest in D-line, and Saints and Panthers kind of have not the worst defenses in the football, you could struggle even within this division. So now it's time to shift our focus towards defense, and it's time to meet defensive line players and linebackers. So again, put your eyes back to the screen and we will start. So Kalajdzic, Kensi, Vitavea, Logan Hall, Greg Gaines, Yaya Diaby, Shaquille Barrett, Anthony Nelson, John Tryon Shayonka, Lavonte David, and KJ Britt. Here we were before the offseason started, and here we are right now. So I pretty much did not put Mr. White in this, because he was pretty much, like, he was still playing for like 12 weeks for the Tampa, and he is like such a weird player in a lot of ways that it was like hard to justify even like putting him in, because he was picked as number 5. Oh man, that's crazy, in 2019. And there are aspects of his game, like his pass rush ability is actually quite nice. He is an excellent blitzer, but in terms of like pure linebackers, like he's ridiculously bad. Like he should not be playing linebacker, man. Like, it's like Jamal Adams should not be playing safety. It's just not his role, because you have to have some responsibility to cover space, to cover guys. You have to have abilities to do so. And like, no, he just cannot do it. Like, in terms of his PFF rankings, let him be out on just PFF rankings for linebackers. The 60 is average. His best year in the league as a number 5 pick, and as a guy that actually commanded like $20 million a year. Like, that was his presumption of himself, because like he has plays that are perfect highlights. I still say he's an excellent blitzer. He has this obviously huge draft pedigree. He was part of like Super Bowl winning team. He was like much more out there than actually the great guys. For example, Lavonte David, his partner. That it's like, that's like how they compare as linebackers. Lavonte is obviously here. So let's go to his grades for linebackers by PFF. Yeah, so 60 is average. His best year was his first, and he was 51.9. His worst was 35.1. That's just atrocious. So his average is like 45. That's incredibly poor. Like, you have to scheme this guy up like super, super hard for him to not be like a huge liability. And like, you have Todd Bowles, as your head coach, as your defensive coordinator. Like, it does not get much better than that in terms of defensive coaching. Like, Todd Bowles is one of the better or best defensive coaches in the league, and he still could not make Devin White work. So there is like he is probably the guy that, to the general public, I would say he's going to be perceived much better than he actually is. Like, this is going to be probably the biggest discrepancy that there is. Like, because, like, you can see him, blitzing a QB, getting a sack, getting this highlight play, and then you don't see him like busting coverage like next 5 plays. So what happened to him is he kind of got semi-injured, was benched for a couple of weeks, then was kind of in and out of lineup for the wildcard and playoff round. They pretty much say, okay, we don't want you out there when they are running the ball. He played 4 snaps against the run in wildcard and division round. He played actually 36 with like against the pass. So they clearly tried to tap into what he's actually good at. He signed 1 year, $7.5 million deal with the Eagles. I still think that's egregious overpay. Like, I think based on his skills, he should be paid like $4 million. And the interesting thing for me would be if he switches to play an edge, to play off-ball linebacker, to outside linebacker, because I think he has a potential to play that role. Like, actually, this is the only role I can imagine him being actually good at eventually, because he's not inside linebacker. Like, no. If Eagles will try that, I think they will fail miserably. So I would advise to the coaches using him, try him, and at that position kind of make the transition similar to like Micah Parsons. And that's why I find Philadelphia Eagles to be such a weird spot for him, because like I don't think he's gonna get into the rotation for the for this group. So he's probably gonna play inside linebacker for them, and it just does not feel like a right move. But that's up to Eagles. I'm kind of like, you can say, if that was his best usage, why Todd Bowles did not do that? Like, I think they kind of tried a bit into that with wildcard and a playoff, and it actually showed some, slightly better results. But it might just be that he does not want to make this transition. He's not like the biggest guy. We will see. But I'm not sure about this guy, like future, and like being paid of being 5th pick is quite nice. Being paid of being a Super Bowl winner is quite nice. So, good for him. But I don't think good for Philly. But okay, that was way too much time spent on a player that's not even here. So let's talk about guys that are actually here. Okay, first one, just to explain to you guys what the yellow means on Joe Tryon 2025 cap hit. It means 50 option that they can pick up on him. So what they've done, they let go of Shaq Barrett, they let go of Devin White, Shaq Barrett actually comes with a dead cap hit. They designated post June 1 release, so he's still kind of on the payroll, and they will have to have some dead cap hits towards him. Is getting there with an age. You probably want to give like more chances to guys like Diaby, Nelson, Tryon. So not necessarily a wrong move, but at the same time, it's probably your best guy still that you are getting rid of in terms of edge guys. So it might say a bit or two on how they view 2024 in terms of, okay, Atlanta actually figured out that they need a quarterback, not Desmond Ridder. And maybe, like we kind of got there last year, and let's be great again in 2025. But it might just be, we feel like he would fade out quite quickly from the starting duo because of his age and because of potential of Tryon and Diaby. We want to see what we have in these guys. So no problem with this move. Definitely leaves this edge group as quite unproven, and the potential is there. The floor is quite low, one of the worst in terms of league. It gets much better when you talk inside guys. Vita, the absolute stud, like one of the best true nose tackles in the league. His ability to pick up on double teams, just being a menace against the run. And then you bring him Kalijah Kensi, who actually showed a lot of things as a pass rusher next to him. With Greg Gaines, that's definitely a nice trio and strength of this line. With Lavonte David being one of easily like top 10 linebackers, still back, 1 year. Obviously, he's getting out there in age. KJ Britt as your second linebacker is a bit of an issue. I would not be surprised if they drafted a linebacker, but also they might just give him a chance and see what they have in him before he hits free agency. Overall, this group, I will go for C+. I feel like you are missing HPs to at least be in like a B category, but in the inside you are set. As linebackers, you are quite nice. If Shaq Barrett was here, is this more a B-? Without him, at its floor is C+, but I feel like the potential to be better with Kensi, with Diaby, with Tryon. I would not be surprised if this ends up like a B or even like B+ type of D-line and linebacker room at the end of the year. Definitely something to be excited for if you are a Bucs fan. Then we move to the secondary. So again, time to meet the guys. Carlton Davis, Jamal Dean, Christian Izien, Ryan Neal, Anton Winfield, D. Delaney. And as you can see, it's a pretty thin room. And so it's pretty thin, but really, really good room. So Anton Winfield, I already have about one of the two best safeties in the league. Absolute menace, the best player they have on the roster. With Tristan Wirfs, I would probably say Antoine is like a better player. Tristan Wirfs is more important because of the position he plays. But both of them are absolute studs and guys that you are super happy to have. Then, in terms of Jamal Dean, he's your best cornerback. Despite this look, he is not your only cornerback. Christian Izien actually played a slot. He was an undrafted pickup that had really, really nice first season in the NFL. Already hiring him as a decent starter, which for an undrafted guy is quite a high praise after his first year. So he was definitely not a problem. He showed his abilities and he's there to stay, I think. And you are exceptional pickup for you. And then they also have Thomas for 1 year, 1.45 million that they brought him back. He was like a good backup. I would say you need to bring at least one cornerback through this draft. There's several of them that you can get your hands onto. I feel like that's the plan when you let go Carlton Davis for a third round pick and I think you package like a 6th round pick next to Carlton Davis. I think that's definitely a plan, that you want to get young or bring some other young bodies into this room. Like, if we would not talk about like missing depth, this would be one of the best rooms in the league. I would still consider this A-, because, you know, like, I have like zero problem with either of these 4 guys. Like, I think for what they are, what they play, they are really, really, really good. But the depth is not there. I don't see necessarily a cornerback you want to play opposing to Jamal Dean. In terms of safeties, one of the best group. In terms of Jamal Dean, he's a good number 1. Christian is in good slot corner. Just bring number 2. It's very close. Like, if they would be able to draft like the best cornerback in the draft, this would like instantly be a type of room. As of right now, it's A- for me, but, you know, I could definitely hear to an argument to make it just a B+ because of lack of depth and pretty much lack of starter. But yeah, like, maybe a bit of inconsistent, but I'm like 100% sure they will address this with one of the premium picks for this position. And like, if they somehow did not, like with Thomas, it's still B+ type of group for sure, because he is not like a complete issue. But overall, definitely the defense is more of a story for the Bucs. That's where you expect the growth, expect the quality. And if they would be able to repeat winning this division, I would say it's like 80-20 the chance that it would be on the backs of this defense. So now let's go to the coaches, some mock drafts, and finish this episode. So there is Todd Bowles. I have him as both head coach and defensive coordinator because I was not able to find that they would have anyone actually designed to be a defensive coordinator. So I just assume it's Todd Bowles' role as well, which is not bad because Todd Bowles is really, really, really good defensive mind, like one of the best for like kind of sure. There's a problem. You've lost Dave Canales, who is going to be head coach for Carolina. He's the guy that resurrected Geno Smith career. He's the guy that resurrected Baker Mayfield. So I'm a bit worried about Baker. But there comes Liam Cohen, another like protege from Sean McVay, guy that was with Canales, with Rams, the guy that was working with Mayfield for the stretch of time when Baker was with the Rams. And like, yeah, he is not the most proven guy, but I do understand the thought process behind him. He, in theory, could be very good. And yeah, I like this hire. You know, it's not hire like, you know, you don't get to hire like Ben Johnson as your offensive coordinator if you are Tampa Bay. But for what he is, for what this team needs, good hire. I don't expect him to be an issue. Do I expect him to like raise the level for this offense like quite tremendously? No. But if he manages to, like, if the only good thing that comes from his hire is that Baker is what he was last year, I think that's kind of enough. In terms of special teams, Jake Camarda, good player, average punter, not a guy you should be worried about. But then you have Chase McLaughlin, and he kind of quietly becomes top 5 kicker in the league. And I don't like, if there is a kicker that might be after like Justin Tucker Crown, I think Chase actually could be that guy. Like, I really think very, very highly of him. He seems to improve like every single year. He, like, it was still only his 4th season, I think, 5th, but he definitely improves. He had really good 2022, and 2023 he was special. He was even like ranked as the best kicker in the football last year. And yeah, I really feel like you have your guy for the future, and he is very, very good. You know, I'm not gonna say he's gonna be next Justin Tucker, but you can see Justin like having some slip-ups. Like last year was definitely not his best. And Chase is definitely one of these guys that can be after his crown. So overall, that's how I feel about Tampa. I think their Super Bowl window, it's hard to say it's closed, but I would be stunned if they would win a Super Bowl in the next 3 years. I feel like because they have this division, because they have some talent, they are in a way in purgatory, and they kind of commit themselves to being in purgatory with Baker. But with them, I like it much more because it's not necessarily sacrificing their future to be in a purgatory like the Saints do. Sorry, this is the last time I'm mentioning Saints in this video. And it's not like they are as good as, for example, Pittsburgh, who also in my eyes are in purgatory, who are, in my opinion, definitely a better team than Tampa. If you play them on neutral field, I feel like out of 10 games, it's going to be 6.5 to 3.5 in terms of results. I really think they are a better team, but they are in incrementally tougher division, in a much better conference, and therefore they are actually in a worse place in my mind than Tampa, because their chances to succeed are kind of similar. They, eventually maybe they could win the division, somehow stumble onto that if some guys are, their floor is much higher than Tampa. So Tampa has a bigger shot to actually have top picks than Pittsburgh, while their chances to win division are lower than Tampa's because of the quality of the division. And the chances to actually win their conference is also almost the same, because their division is, their conference is harder. So I kind of much more like a purgatory of Tampa than of Pittsburgh, despite Pittsburgh being a better team, in my opinion. Yeah, because with Tampa, it's much easier to actually get some results, like winning division, winning playoff games. It's rather easier than for Pittsburgh, but it's also easier to actually be really shitty, have the top 5 pick, which I feel like is definitely possible for Tampa this season. They could easily be really bad. They could. I'm not projecting that. I feel like they would be decent, but I would not be stunned if they are 4-13 team. I would not. It just needs Baker to be shitty, the inside of offensive line being a huge issue, as it looks like it's gonna be, and yeah, that's pretty much it. And obviously, it would need the rest of the division not to completely suck. So, with that being said, like I said, their window is slightly open because of the division, because of that. So I feel like they are somehow in better position in Pittsburgh despite being a worse team. But realistically, I don't feel like they have more than 5% chance to win a Super Bowl when you accumulate the chances for next 3 years. That's really low number. So it would put them in terms of 20s and with the teams in the NFL. So now let's do some mock drafts and finish this up. So what I was focusing with the draft is clear. There needs to be an inside offensive lineman drafted in my eyes, with either first or second pick that Tampa has. Also, I feel like if there is a good player out there to be drafted high as a wide receiver, I would not mind giving Baker another weapon, because I really feel like they kind of lack in that department. And then definitely cornerback is a position I target. So these are kind of normal drafts. Here we had a chance to draft a premier cornerback, so you definitely do that. And then you pretty much address the edge and the inside with 2 players, 2 worse players, but you give some bodies out there. In the next draft, it's actually addressing kind of all of the defensive positions plus the inside of the offensive line. Again, really nothing out of order. It's pretty simple. Draft the best inside lineman if it's up there, and if not, or you feel like you can get your hands on premium cornerbacks or premium wide receiver, draft these guys, or even premium edge. But I feel like edge is the fourth of your worries. I feel like inside is number 1, cornerback is number 2, wide receiver and the edge guys are kind of similar needs in my opinion. Linebackers, like it might seem like it should be a much bigger need for you because you have KJ Britt as your starter right now. But at the end of the day, it's linebacker. I will put it as a need, but not top 4 need. And then I went and have done slightly more crazy thing. So hear me out on this one because that's one I had the most fun with, and it's definitely the biggest, like the most crazier one. So essentially my thought process for this draft is I'm sacrificing next year draft in a way, like losing round 3, round 4, round 5. So I'm keeping the top picks, just in case that I suck. So I have, number 5 pick. I don't want to lose that, but I do not mind like losing eventually like 70th pick. And I'm actually addressing this flawed roster on each position that I believe needs to get fixed. So I'm sacrificing next year's draft for myself to actually get these guys in, show me what they can do. And like sometimes the biggest knock would be like if they hit, you have to pay them like in the same time. Like that's why you don't draft, like that's why you usually don't try to have like 7 draft picks into the top 90. You just want to get it like evenly spread over the seasons. But here I thought like, okay, but what are the chances that seven players out of 7 hits? Like really slim. So if like 2 or 3 hits, I do not mind paying them in the same time, right? And I feel like I still have a chance to win the division in the next 3 years, and I want these guys to have the bodies in like year earlier than year later. So that was my thought process behind this. And within that process, I addressed every single position that I thought needed to be addressed. So you have a cornerback with Ennis Rakestrov Jr., you have an edge guy in Darius Robinson. Wide receiver, we picked up the speedy Xavier Worthy to just complement like huge body of Mike Evans and perhaps slowing down of Chris Godwin. So I think Xavier Worthy is really nice complement to these 2 guys. Then Christian Haynes and Cedric Van Pran really put bodies that have the upside inside of the O-line. Trey Benson, one of the sneaky good running backs I think in this year's draft that will complement the trio. And then because we still had to pick, Jeremiah Trotter was out there. I don't want to spend first 2 rounds on linebacker, but if I have a pick, like luxury pick, and there's quite a good player for that position out there, I'm picking him. So, like, I'm not sure how realistic this is. But if I were a Tampa GM and someone offered me like, okay, this is what you can get, I would take it. I would really like to, put these guys in, see what sticks. If we suck this year, I still have my number 1 and number 2 pick. So I'm not in like position as Carolina. If we suck, then my first overall pick is not in hands of anyone else. And if we are good, then I can either pick just 2 best guys that I need with the number 1 and number 2 pick next year, or I can draft down and not draft premium guys, but just to try to fill another hole. So overall, I would actually be happy if this could be a result of Tampa Bay draft, but it's probably very unrealistic. Not in terms of these trades are unrealistic. I feel like they kind of make sense. Based on PFF, I have not cheated. It's like, yeah, I offered these trades. They had like 40 to 60% acceptance rate based on what PFF says. So yeah, I would be excited if Bucks did this. Overall, that's it for me. I hope you guys enjoyed opening of the 4th quarter with Tampa Bay Buccaneers. We will be back with episode 26 really soon. Up to that point, tell me how you would like this draft. What do you think about Tampa Bay and their success? What do you think about Baker? If you like this or dislike this, leave a like, leave a comment, subscribe, or recommend us to your favorite people around that are also crazy fans of NFL. Till next time, have a nice day. Bye bye.